What up, y'all? Hey, we're sitting down today. What? No? What's wrong with what up, y'all? What up, y'all? Hey, we're sitting here today in the park, Waterfront Park in Charleston, South Carolina. The weather is turning, and there's a lot of things turning in the environment too, in the market and the economy, and interest rates going up. And so I brought in my boy Nick Burton, Director of Acquisitions, Chief Marketing Officer for Legacy Wealth Holdings, and we're going to sit down and talk about what's going on. So let's dive in, see what's working, what's not working right now, and figure out how you can still do deals regardless of rising interest rates. Burton.
What's up, dude?
Welcome, buddy.
Thank you.
Disregard the blue on his hands. He was staining something at his house.
I built a bar,
He took the paintbrush over his.
Yep.
It's like a Christmas Vacation type of a moment,
Yep.
right? He's like Clark Griswold in 2022. But anyways, all right, dude. Let's talk about the market. So so first of all, we haven't bought that much stuff in the past 18 months, other than like buying out partners and stuff along those lines.
Sure.
We bought the island. That was a big one. We bought the lodge. We bought the mainland house next to the island, and a couple other properties at the very beginning of last year. But mostly it's just been kind of like recapitalizing some things, buying out other partners, and a lot of that has been because the market's been so hot, right?
Yep.
So it's just people are overpaying. They're paying top dollar. They have either cheaper money than us, I guess, or a longer time horizon on their money, which are two critical elements to keeping your cost of capital down, right? If you either want a lower rate on your private money, and you combine that with a 3.5% interest rate on your property, you got a pretty low cost of capital. The second component is having a long time horizon on your money. We kind of trained our investors to expect their money back inside like 36, 48 months for most of our projects. And so we need to buy it at a deep enough discount in order to push values, in order to then refinance and essentially BRRRR, right? Buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and BRRRR and refi and pay them out. So we've been in a kind of a tight spot of not being able to do much of that over the past 2 years. And then with the rising interest rate environment, times are changing, right? So talk a little bit about the bottlenecks that we faced last year or leading up to the rising interest rate. And then
Sure.
even with the rising interest rate, like what have you seen for the past 6 months versus really what you've seen the past 4 weeks?
Sure. So, I mean, yeah, probably the last 12 months up until maybe 30, 45 days ago, we just weren't competitive. I mean, we've always been bigger than the small guys, smaller than the big guys, but we're creeping up into nicer stuff, bigger stuff, and their money's at 2, 3, 4%, sometimes even 0%. Like they just have to park their money.
They just need yield on their money. So
Yeah.
like before, when we were going through this growth of getting up to 4,000 or 5,000 doors, we were buying things that the smaller guys, like you said, couldn't qualify for. And the big guys, the hedge funds, the real estate trusts that had FU money, didn't want to get their hands dirty with. So we had like this part of the market cornered where we could go and pick up as many properties as we wanted. Now, there's a lot of work that goes into that. COVID threw a wrench into things because now the supply chain's all off the rails, right? Material is harder to come by, and then the labor force is more and more expensive. So the heavy value add type stuff isn't really what we want to focus on right now because a lot of those bottlenecks. And at the same time, dude, it's just management intensive, right? You got a lot more time and attention that's needed on that stuff, and a lot of variables and a lot of political climate stuff with moving out bad tenants, moving in more qualified tenants and all that jazz. But the reality is we want to be in a position where as we grow, we've kind of trimmed the fat. We've sold a lot of our small stuff. We've sold a lot of our C-class and management intensive stuff. And now we want to get into more of the B plus that we already have some of, but we just want to multiply
Sure.
that in our portfolio in the A- areas and just the newer construction. So that, for the viewers, understanding what kind of where we are in our progress in our business growth, that's kind of where we are. So it's been very, very difficult to find those kinds of deals and compete on those kinds of deals.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't getting responses back. I was getting no counters. And these people have to park money, and it's just, they can pay whatever they want back then when interest rates are 3-4%. Now, over the last couple months, interest rates go 4 to 5 to 6, and they're still creeping up.
Dude, they're 7+ for residential homes right now, and they're in the 6s for apartments.
Yeah, still creeping up. And
Stabilized apartments.
The problem is that all these owners still want their price. They want the price that they wanted 12 months ago. And they wanted too much 12 months ago. They wanted too much then, they want way too much now.
Yep.
So we have a couple different things. One,
so sellers are sellers want this price.
Yeah.
They're not willing to come down.
Yeah.
Buyers are down here saying, hey, it's only worth this much, and they're not willing to come up.
Right.
So there's this gap now of between sellers and buyers, and you're like, hey, who's going to budge first?
Sure. So, I mean, the best thing is our number one negotiating tactic is if you want to sell, now's the most you're going to get for it. Like, if you want to sell it within the next 12, 24 months,
it's only getting worse, guys.
Interest rates are going to keep going up. Buying power is going to keep going down. So, hey, I'd love to get you your price, but we have to get creative on it.
Right.
And that's where, over the last 6-8 weeks, we've had more counters, more accepted offers in that time frame than we've had probably in the previous 12 months. And it's, the big guys aren't really going in with that. It's like, hey, we're going to evaluate this kind of as is. They're not going to talk about seller carry, and they're not going to talk about keeping the owner in as an equity partner, whatever, that kind of stuff. So we've really been able to leverage getting creative on it and getting a lot more offers. Hey, I'll get you your price, but it's going to be on my terms.
Love that. Yeah, and that's what we found. You know, like we're able to go in. I think the people who can raise private money and who can creatively structure deals are going to absolutely dominate the next 18 months of this market. I saw it back in 2008, 2009, where deals were everywhere, but money dried up. People who understood creative financing for a few years, gobbled everything up on seller finance terms and or with private money. And that same exact thing is starting to happen as we've gotten. How many LOIs have we accepted in the past 30 days? 8?
8 to 10.
8, which is more than we've gotten in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And so, and almost all of those have some element of seller carry, or seller financing, or the seller contributing some portion of the purchase price as equity into the deal, right?
Yep.
So, how have those conversations gone? Like, how are you knocking on the door? How are you leading into those conversations with sellers or with brokers?
Sure. So first we just see, hey, and we're dealing with a different kind of buyer. Like if I was going to a single family property and I was talking to Mrs. Smith, who's owned the house for 70 years, she's not going to know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The stuff we're looking at, it's with a more savvy investor. They kind of know the shtick a little bit, and it's not that much of a learning curve.
And that's the key. Right?
Yeah.
If you're in commercial real estate or rental real estate in any way, you're dealing with people who bought the property for investment purposes.
Yeah.
So there's some level of financial sophistication to them where they understand at least the elementary basic principles of what is seller financing or seller carry.
Yeah, and I mean, it usually starts with, hey, I'm running the numbers on this. If I was just going to do this traditionally, just buy it outright, I'm not going to be able to get close.
Right.
But if you're open to terms, I think I could get you your price if you're willing to hold back a little bit.
Well, I think it helps, right? Because we go in with multiple offers and we go and say, hey, this is what the property's worth with current interest rates and in this environment, right? And so, hey, you're asking $5 million, we'd be at 3, right?
Yeah.
Because this is what interest rates and based on the performance of the property and the cap rate, spread based on where interest rates are right now, this is where we need to be. So you can get $3 million and you can have your terms on my price, or we can give you your price on our terms.
Yeah.
So what does the backside of that look like?
Yeah, I mean, just come back to that. Like, I'm sending our mortgage brokers analysis of the property to the sellers. And she's like, hey, this isn't me just scratching stuff together.
Third party, one of the biggest
our
commercial
mortgage
brokers in the country.
Billions of dollars of deals is saying we can only get 65% on this 70% at 6.5% interest rate. And they're like, okay. And a lot of times they know our mortgage broker and they're like, okay, well, if he's saying it, then like, I don't know you guys that much, but I know him and if he's saying it.
Well, the limitation for people who are going out and buying is that, hey, the property nets, let's call it $500,000 a year. If it nets $500,000 a year and you still want to buy it at a 6 cap, right? It just means that there's more money going towards interest than there is towards principal. And so you're limited on the amount of loan proceeds that you can get, right? And so they'll still give you a loan if you overpay $5 million on a $3 million building. The issue is they're going to value it at $3 million, and you're going to have to come up with the other $2 million out of pocket, right?
Yeah.
And so you're going to get like a 50% loan to value on these deals because the LTV drops because the debt service coverage ratio is not met. And that's the key factor where it really kills the deal, because now we got to go and do more work in order to overpay for somebody else's deal. Like, no, we're not even remotely interested in doing that unless you as a seller carry that 50% and at a 2 to 4% interest rate. And then my blended cost of capital between 50% of the money at 3% interest rate and then the other 50% of the money at a 7% interest rate blends out to be about a 5% cost of capital, blended cost of capital. So then you can go out and buy something at a 6% cap rate, which allows you now to positively cash flow that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling sellers, hey, money from the bank's super expensive. Any money I get from you is going to be way less than the bank.
Which means I can pay you more money.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I would say out of all of our offers that we're submitting, I would say, or LOIs or counters that we've gotten accepted, is almost all of them have some kind of seller carry in them. Because my first offer with all the money from the bank and then we raise the other money is not good. It's not a good offer. But that's the most I could pay. So like, really, really, really understanding the blended cost of capital has been, over the last 30, 45 days, I've been spending a lot of time just running numbers on that.
And that's, I think, a key component to mention is like, we're not underwriting deals as like an after repair value or as like, here's what the stabilized value is. We're looking at that. That's definitely a component.
Yeah.
But I think the greatest risk in buying and selling in this type of environment, in a changing economy and the tides are coming in and going out, is buying for speculation and saying, hey, if I buy it today, can I sell it in a year or 2 years from now for this price point? Like, that's what everybody got clobbered on in 2009 or 8, 9, 10, you know? And so the people who bought for cash flow is this basis that if it'll cash flow, you can refinance it at your basis. If it'll cash flow, you might be able to refinance it above your cost basis. If it'll cash flow, you can fire sale it. If it'll cash flow, you might be able to pay, get somebody to pay a retail price. If it'll cash flow, you can do a seller carryback on it. If it cash flows, you can do a lease option or a master lease option on the entire property. Like, you can do a lot of creative stuff if it cash flows.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, you sit on it
Yeah.
and ride out the storm, So that's what we're looking at whenever we're underwriting a deal now is, will it cash flow? And if we can make the cash flow make sense, then, hey, would you go and buy a property that's worth $10 million and would you pay $11 million for it? Most people might say no. But what if you got a 2% financing on a 30-year amortization schedule?
Yeah, 90% seller finance.
Yeah, 90% LTV or something. Shit, yeah, I would do that all day, because you're gonna be spending more than that extra $1 million in cost of capital otherwise. So if you can negotiate the terms, it makes a lot of sense to potentially pay retail or maybe even over retail or close to retail for that.
Yeah, so we make 3 offers. One's just traditional, where we're usually coming in 70, 75 cents on the dollar.
Cash you out at, you're asking 10 million, we're gonna come in at 7.
Yeah, but it's only worth 10.
Because it's worth $7 million, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's worth 10, but the most we can get on a loan is 7, and you're not gonna carry back anything, and we have to be all in for 70 cents a dollar if we're going to refinance out our investors in 12, 24, 36 months. Our second offer is with 30% seller carry. Hey, let me go to the bank. Let me get 70% from the bank. Let me get 30% from you. But instead of you having either second lien position or anything like that, we're going to keep you in as an equity partner in the deal. And not only do you get your 30% seller finance, but we're also going to kick you some equity in the deal, and you get, let's say, 15% equity, you get 15% of the upside, 15% of cash flows, depreciation, sales proceeds, refis proceeds, so you actually make a couple extra bucks. And then our third option is...
And in that scenario, sometimes we structure it with a preferred return in there on their money. Sometimes there's no preferred, and that equity is the return on their investment.
Yep. And then our third offer is what you're saying is our third offer is 90% seller carry at 2%. And a lot of times, hey, let's say they're asking $10 million, I'll offer them 11.
Yeah.
Because if you crunch the numbers at 90% at 2%, it's very hard to not make it work.
Yeah.
So I'll give you more if you're willing to really let this thing go 10-year term, 30-year AM, something like that.
Yep, love that. No, I mean, so, and that's what we're doing. And at the end of the day, it's like, we're not trying to hit grand slams, we're trying to hit base hits,
Yep.
right? And base hits win ball games. And so we're going in and we're making offers on everything.
Yep.
And we're following up on a lot of stuff too. So how has the follow-up changed and you know, the tone of the sellers changed? Like, you got brokers coming to you now and saying, hey, I know you made an offer on this in the past. It's still on the market. Do you have any further interest?
Yeah, I mean,
How do you respond to that?
Again, 12 months ago, I was not getting responses, a lot of FUs.
Yeah.
Now it's
F me, F you, watch this.
I'm saying I'm competing on almost everything now. I would say at least 75% I'm getting, hey, we're considering the offer, we're getting responses, or we're countering, or we're just accepting it
You're in
straight
the
out.
top three, you know?
Yeah, again, we've had more accepted offers or counters in the last 45 days than we've had in a year, at least.
Do you have any fears of, not fears?
If rates keep getting worse, that 75% percentage is going to go up.
Yeah.
We're going to get way more competitive on everything because just not many people are getting really creative. And that was my big weak point at our last summit, not in Denver.
Yeah.
In Denver, I was like, man, I'm just
We had the money panel, and I remember you
it's like,
coming out and saying,
I'm just
"Dude, I gotta
not
understand this."
I'm not making as creative offers as I want to. I want to have an arsenal of creative offers that I can make. I want to be like 7 out of 10 competency on creative offers. And I gave myself at that time like a 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And so what I did is I figured out everybody in Legacy family who does creative offers. There was you, Dusty, Paul Larson, like all these guys. And I sat them down. Like, I had Dusty come over and I ordered like $100 of barbecue for us too. I was like, we're running through your deals. We're going to figure out how you did these things. And well, Dusty's kind of an anomaly because he's like, yeah, I get these houses at 0% for 5 years. After a couple years, they say, hey, I don't want to keep making payments. I'm like, I'll give you half of what I gave you. And then he gets the house for half of what so Dusty's kind of an anomaly, but still, I went from
he is so good at what he does.
I went from a 2 out of 10, and I'd give myself, I feel a solid 6 out of 10 at this point, and I'm still like, it was my biggest takeaway again, or my biggest hurdle at this past summit in Nashville. I was like, I want to get to a 7 out of 10. I want to get an 8 out of 10. And
bro, it's a muscle, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I've been doing it since 2009, you know? And so I've worked out this muscle for 13 years of creative finance because, dude, there wasn't any money anywhere. And like, especially for a punk ass 23-year-old kid who'd never done a deal before, nobody was giving me money. So the only way that I could gain access to capital was through private money and creative finance. Now that has, since the gates of capital have opened up over the past 5-6 years, it's turned into like, you don't need to creatively finance. You can go and get private money. You can go and get bank financing at ridiculous rates. And now it's coming full cycle again. Now it's turning into, if you don't have this arsenal of creative finance, dude, you're in a tough spot.
Yeah.
You're not going to do any deals in the next 2 years. And the people who understand creative finance will be absolutely slaughtering and growing their portfolio massively over the next 24 months.
Yeah, when
like, fortunes will be made in the next 24 months if you understand creative finance.
Yeah, when people run out, you run in.
Yeah.
And the people who are running in are the ones that know how to creatively finance deals.
So you've learned how to do this by exercising this muscle, by going to the gym, of talking to people who are out there and doing that, who have this knowledge, who have this experience. Some resources are joining masterminds, joining your local real estate investors association, and we just put together the free Facebook group all about commercial creative finance.
Yep.
So tell everybody about what that is and how they can join.
Sure.
There's no cost to it. It's free.
Yeah, free Facebook group. It's called Commercial Real Estate Creative Finance with Tim Bratz. We're going to be in there preferably a couple times a month, going live or posting videos or having somebody come on and speak about how they're creatively financing deals and structuring deals differently.
Dude,
so
case studies on deals that we're doing, case studies on deals that we took down, case studies on deals that we didn't take down, that didn't end up shaking out the way that we wanted them to, going through other people's deals and just being available as a resource for you guys with a free Q&A. At least, it'll be a couple times a month. We're going to try to do it probably once a week. But we'll put the link in the comments section. Jump on Facebook and join into that group. And make sure that you're part of the communication, part of the conversations that are going on in there. If you have any questions or you're underwriting deals and you want some feedback, bring them to the live Q&A. We'll do an Ask Me Anything, like I said, about once every week or so. And we'll help you underwrite the deal, or look at it from a perspective of like, here's what we would do in this situation, or a couple different ways that we can kind of skin the cat and carve this thing up.
You know, and one more thing, that I talked about this a lot at the summit, at the hot seats and stuff. And this is something that I used to have a bigger problem with, and you kept dogging me for it, is you have no clue what somebody's going to say. Mm-hmm. You have absolutely no clue. And at my hot seat, it probably happened 2 or 3 times where somebody's like, I got this going on, but I'm really worried about what they're going to say. I'm like, have you asked them at all? Like, have you said it? And they're like, no. I'm like, for all you know, like, it was something about like paying somebody like 70 grand or something. I don't remember what it was. They're like, I'm so worried about paying them 70 grand. And I'm like, how much can you pay? They're like, 50 grand or whatever. Like, I'd love to pay them 50 grand. I'm like, did you ask them if they will take 50 grand? They're like, no. I'm like, then you have no clue. Yep. So, and I talked about this with Dusty and Paul and all these guys. It's like, shoot for the moon. Like, whatever works for you absolutely best is what you should offer. So we offer 2% seller finance on everything, as much as we can get. You have no clue if in your mind you might say they're not going to accept anything less than 6%. For all you know, they could just counter in the middle and offer 4%. It's better than whatever you thought. So, man, shoot for the moon. Worst they can say is no, and they're probably going to counter. So,
dude, I think that's such a powerful concept, and that's what creates really the greatest bottleneck for most people when they're making offers. Is like they have these preconceived judgments and notions in their own head, these stories that they're making up that aren't even real, based on somebody else that they don't even know, and some made up circumstance that they're not aware of, right? And so it's like, dude, just put it out there, float it out there in an email, float it out there in a text message, float it out there in a phone conversation. You don't even need to put a formal purchase and sale agreement or LOI together and make that offer. You just need to go and have the conversation, just take their temperature, and if they might tell you to go fly a kite, okay, great, you're in the exact same position as you're already in. But what could happen if they say, you know what, I would be open to that. You know, dude, there's so many deals behind the scenes right now that we're having these conversations. Oh, how about the one that's up in Cleveland, a retail property, beautiful, newly constructed, all A-rated, like national tenants in there. We make an offer with seller financing. The seller somehow knows who I am, right? And they like, we'd love to do a deal with you. We got a ton of respect for Tim. And yes, we will do a seller carryback because we know who you are.
Yeah.
Right? And we didn't even know, and we ended up figuring out who it was, and we ended up connecting with them. And it is somebody, you know, that I know decently well. And dude, it's one, make the offer.
Yeah.
You never know what they're gonna say. And 2, build your personal brand, right? Like, get out there, start talking about this stuff on social media, and contribute and like and comment and put questions in the comment section, so that way I can react and give you a response to some of the things that you might have questions about. And then I retag you, and then all of a sudden we're cross-promoting and supporting each other. And I truly believe, like, those who have a personal brand and are well known for continuously doing deals, continuously swinging the bat, continuously raising money, are the ones who are going to own the marketplace. You know, they're the ones that people are going to be watching when everybody else is running and retreating from the market. Dude, they're running into it, you know? And those are the people, if you document that process, people are like, what the hell are they doing? You know, they're still moving forward. They're still buying deals. They must know something that I don't know. And that is a huge component of our mindset of like, dude, we're always doing deals. I know the market is going to get worse, and we're still buying deals right now, right? The knife
buying
is
more deals, the worse it gets.
The knife is falling, and we're still catching it on the way down, even though it's going to go lower. That's okay, because we're buying for cash flow.
Sure.
And we're structuring it the right way. We're financing it the right way. We're raising capital the right way. We're operating it the right way. We're doing all the right things. So that way, when we dollar cost average all of our deals over time, dude, we bought some in 2019. We bought some in 2020, or 2019, 2020, right? We bought a couple even in 2021. And then we're buying them in 2022, even though the market's coming up. We're gonna buy more in 2023 down here. And all of a sudden, our blended cost of investment, or of cost basis in all of our deals, will blend out at 60, 70 cents on the dollar, based on just always doing deals. But if you're not exercising the muscle, if you're trying to time the market, that's not the way to build your business, right? It's built with base hits, not with home runs. It's a scarcity mindset that you're gonna try to buy at the bottom of the market. Always be doing deals, because that momentum is gonna create more opportunity for you and more upside in your deals, and gain access to more private money investors, and build your reputation with sellers, and build your reputation with brokers, and all the other components that are gonna make business and life a lot easier for you over time. It all comes from momentum, not from trying to time the market and getting a perfect price on the perfect deal one time and then getting rich off of that. It's from doing deals all the time, over and over and over again, throughout, no matter what the market looks like, whether it's up, whether it's down, whether it's sideways, doesn't matter. Any closing thoughts?
Swing the bat.
Swing the bat, man.
Swing the bat. You have no clue what somebody's going to say. Swing the bat, make offers, don't be afraid. Don't get discouraged. That's
Yep.
a big one. Have a good team. I know not everybody has an amazing team out the gate, but make sure that you keep A players around you
Yep.
and incentivize them with like we're going through this a decent amount with hiring new people. And this is a Nick Burton quote here. B class players you pay on a salary. A class players you pay on the vision.
I like that.
I mean, you don't have to sell them right now. You want to sell them 5 years, 10 years down the road. So build a team, swing the bat.
Love it.
You're not playing to win now, you're playing to win later.
I love it. Be on the offensive,
Yeah.
you know? So go out there, swing the bat, don't strike out looking over the next 24 months. Now is the time to really grow your portfolio, and you're gonna be in a really good position coming out of this on the back end, because fortunes will be made. Hey, hope you got a ton of takeaways with my conversation with Nick Burton. Make sure that you join the Facebook group, Commercial Real Estate Creative Finance, with Tim Bratz and my entire team. We already have a bunch of members in there. We just opened this thing up a week or two ago. And we're gonna be in there dropping content, dropping value all the time. So make sure you're in there. And by the way, send me a Facebook friend request too. Make sure that we're connected on Instagram. We have a TikTok channel. Obviously, you're on YouTube right now. And just do me a favor and subscribe, like, put some comments, maybe your biggest takeaway or any questions that you might have, put it in the comments section, and I'll make sure that I acknowledge those and answer those questions for you in future videos. So appreciate you. Until next time, be your best.